and make sure it's 100% legal. Everybody likes talking shit on the contractors, but nobody wants to talk about the customer, right? I don't want to fight with you anymore. You know you owe me. Sometimes the customer sucks too. Oh man, because I freaking hate it, dude.
Well, thanks for joining, guys. Back to Roofer to Roofer. So this is our weekly Q&A show with Scott, CEO of Rainstoppers Roofing and SDR Consulting, and then myself, CEO of ProLine, software for roofers. And we are here to answer your questions about the roofing business and anything that you guys have. About the roofing business, advice, questions, thoughts. Please put those into the Q&A or into the chat, and we will address those. We have our own questions as well that we're going to be going through, but we always would prefer to answer y'all's questions over our own. So please do add those if you can. All right. I should already be recording. Yep. All right, so while we're waiting on questions from you guys, we'll go ahead and get started. Um, Scott, what's a few tips for safety tips for when you're working on a roofing project or inspecting a roof by yourself with nobody else there?
I think the biggest one is definitely tying off your ladder. That comes from a level of experience because I've inspected a bunch of roofs, and I think I've told you this story before, but if you're up there by yourself, nobody's home, you're out in the middle of the country, no cell phone signal, and the ladder blows off, you can only jump. So, that's a problem. You don't want that. But yeah, I think that's like when you're for inspections, that's the biggest thing. A simple bungee cord, hook it from the gutter hangers, whatever, figure out a way to tie the ladder off to keep you from uh, you know, causing us that kind of problem. Um, and then when you're on the roof, wearing proper shoes, I know you got cougar paws as an option if you don't want to spend the money on cougar paws. If you're walking shingle roofs, a good foam sole shoe will help you stick to the roof a lot better. Um, and then, I mean, the obvious is always tying off on the roof, right? Like that's like the number one obvious one. But I'll tell you one that is not as obvious, but it's being aware of your surroundings. I know more guys that have fallen off 3 and 4 on 12 roofs than the steep ones. And it's because they're just not aware of their surroundings. As roofers, we're so comfortable being up there and we're so comfortable walking on that roof that we forget where the edge is at. And that sounds so stupid, but most of the guys I know that have fallen, it's not because they've fallen. They just walk off the freaking edge. And that's a fact that happens often. So, just being aware and really always paying attention. I mean, doesn't matter if you're 1 story or 3 stories, you know, that fall can be life threatening if you're not paying attention.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. All right. For those just joining us, we're here to answer your questions. Got Scott, got myself, AJ, and we're here to answer anything that you got for us. Otherwise, we're going to go through our questions here. So we're going to hit another one of ours while we're waiting for anybody to type anything in. All right. Scott, what would you say right now are the best social media accounts or channels to follow for roofing knowledge and news?
Hmm, good question, since I'm not on social media.
Well, why don't
The
you talk about that? Why aren't you on social media?
Oh man, because I freaking hate it, dude. You want to know why? My screen time went from 6 hours to 3 hours. So, um,
Good.
if you consider your time, uh, value on your time, what's 3 hours worth to me in the day? Like a whole lot, right? So those 3 hours I'm spending, and maybe it's not being productive. Maybe it's just being more present with my family. Maybe it's I'm working another business venture with my brother. Maybe it's focusing some time towards that. Um, whatever. But my life is better because I have 3 more hours of the day to focus on something that matters to me, whether it's family, a different business, my roofing company, hanging out with you with ProLine team, whatever, like relationships, that matter. Relationships on Facebook don't matter. Relationships in real life matter. So, I'm not going to credit all 3 hours a day going straight into profitable time, but they definitely go into valuable time for other things. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm out. I'm done. I got back into it for about 6 months, and I'm like, yeah, this sucks. It's just sucking my time. But I mean, here's the thing: it is a valuable tool. I mean, don't mistake it for nothing. You know, um, it can be a valuable tool if used properly. I actually have a VA running my social media accounts. I pay someone $20 an hour. Mind you, they do a lot of other things, but one of their daily tasks is to run my social media account. Just to respond to messages, to if I want them to post something. I just had them put a message in a group. It's called, and this is a great group. This, to answer your question, this is a great group. Uh, I don't remember the exact name, but it's something along the lines of roofing contractors and subs. It's a group page. It's fantastic. If you're looking for labor, you're needing more labor. We're needing more labor in a bad way. We're selling like crazy and we have great crews, but they just can't keep up. Paolo made a post in there looking for crews this area, gave some specs, some details. We ended up with 20 candidates wanting to come work for us. And that was before noon today. We posted at like 9 o'clock. So um, that's a great group. Um, when I was on social, what's a couple other good ones? There's a few good ones that I used to follow pretty hard. Um, Proline Mafia is a pretty sweet one, but I'm trying to think what else there is. It's
What
been a
one
bit.
name? Did you just say name that roofing and siding? Did you?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's pretty
Um,
good.
yeah, and Roofing Insights is a good one. There's a lot of good minds inside of that group
No.
that kind of bounce stuff off of. Um, But yeah, I mean, any of the, it's pretty simple. Go to the search, type in roofing, and just look for the ones that have the most people engaging in them. That's
Yeah.
usually the best ones.
Yeah. Um, we're putting a lot of content out on the ProLine YouTube channel these days.
That's a good one. Yeah, especially if you want to. I mean, it's not even just if you're a ProLine user, but I think the content ProLine creates is very directed at, this demographic.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a user to appreciate the content ProLine's creating and the value that it's bringing to, you know, other roofing companies.
Yeah, we're putting out a lot of value driven stuff that has yeah, nothing to do specifically with the software.
Right. Just
So
like this.
that's right. That's just like this. Um, that's all good stuff. I'm gonna put some links here in the chat. That first one is what I use, Get Brick, to help with decreasing screen time. They're my favorites. It actually has a physical device that you have to go scan in order to use your social media. Opal is like a really popular one, but that's more of like a traditional screen time app. If you're There's lots of great sources of VAs. If you want roofing specific, SMA support's probably the number one. But if you're looking for more of like an executive assistant, not necessarily someone that knows roofing, I put Athena, which is who I use for my executive assistant. Um, they're great. And then put our YouTube and Facebook for ProLine in there as well. Who your EA? Are they through SMA or are they through somebody else?
That's a
Yeah.
Meg. And
Yeah.
I actually just had a
SMA is
call
great.
with somebody. It's funny I get these weird calls, right? Like I'm not a hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Internet's a little shaky. I get these weird calls from people I have no relationship with. It's just from like this or something else. But people ask me about SMA, and I couldn't be happier. Um, it's probably just a little bit more expensive than the typical VA service, I would guess, but they come pretty well adapt to the roofing industry on day one. They still require some training, obviously, to what you want them to do. I mean, I have my guy doing stuff that has nothing to do with roofing. He's running my social media account, he's running my email,
Yeah.
um, he's running my GMB pages. I put him through Dima's roofing SEO school. He literally does all of my SEO work and does a fabulous job. Um, yeah, they cost just a little bit more, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love the people I've worked with. What, five different VAs from SMA? They've all been fantastic.
Yeah. That's nice. Great. All right. So for anyone that's just joined us, we're here to answer your questions about the roofing business, or just business in general, or just life in general as a founder of a roofing business. So anything you want to ask us, feel free to put that in the chat or the Q&A. Otherwise, we're going through our questions.
Hey,
So,
I got something real quick,
oh
if
yeah,
you mind.
go for
I think it could be of value.
Let's do it.
A good friend of mine and yours, um, hooked me up with a source that proved valuable today. Um, if you've got customers not paying their bill and you're forced to the point you have to file a lien. Most of the time everybody's looking for an attorney or things like that, which can get pretty expensive. Um, and a lot of I have an attorney. I have an attorney that, I keep on retainer, not really for this, like this kind of interaction, more for like starting businesses. He's creating LLCs, he's writing contracts, he's doing different things for me elsewhere. Uh, you know, a lot of different things. But regardless, I could use him for this. I chose not to because John Starry gave me a great source. It's called thecreditapp.org, and you can go online with this resource and file a lien, and not just file a lien, you can ding their credit as well in the same process, and it's very simple. It took me 5 minutes to file a lien myself against a customer um, today. So uh, just wanted to kind of pass that out there. It seems to be a great resource. I know John's had a lot of success with it. So could be something that anybody could use that would be a great way to try to recoup some of this money that customers aren't paying.
Yeah, yeah, that is good insight there. I like it. Um, cool.
Everybody likes talking shit on the contractors, but nobody wants to talk about the customer, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes the customer sucks too. So,
yeah.
luckily for us, it's a $2,500 repair. It's not a huge deal, but at the same time, he's 50 days past due. It's time to pay.
Do you think do you think so you're gonna go the lean route? Do you think that's gonna motivate him to pay you?
He'll either pay me, or when he goes to sell it, he'll be forced to pay me. Now it might be 10 years. A lien, I believe, is good for 9 years. At least where I'm at. A lien is good for 9 years, and then you have to renew. Honestly, I'm probably not going to follow up with this thing in 9 years.
Yeah.
Uh, but if he tries to do something with this property in the next 9 years, he's not going to be able to borrow money or do anything with it until he pays this lien off. So, and it's cheap. I think it was like 350. And I'll be honest, I'm being an asshole, and I dinged his credit and filed the lien. So I think you can file a lien for 250, but if you want to ding his credit, it costs a little bit extra. But
Yeah.
the guy won't answer. We've tried from 4 different phone numbers just to get the guy to answer a phone call, and he will not answer the phone. So if you're going to be a prick like that, two can play that game.
How do you do that? You don't have to have their social in order to do that. Can you just do it with their email or what's the phone number?
Email, phone, full name, home address, and I think that's it.
That's what you need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did it in like 5 minutes. It took no time.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and from what I understand, it sent him a notification of lien, and so he has the option to dispute it, and then it will get escalated from there, which I'm sure he'll dispute it, but at least he knows. uh, the way I look at it is we've been into the situation a few times. um I used to just have my attorney write a letter, and that's essentially what this is, right? It's just a letter saying, hey, we're done playing with you. Now we're getting legal with you.
Yeah.
um Usually that takes care of the issue. I had a 15 or $18,000 project one time, one letter, and it was done. We never filed anything. Um, but regardless, that's what this is, and then it files after that. Um, but yeah, no, I'll just put a lien on him. Hope he tries to sell in the next few years, and he'll have to pay me. And if he doesn't, then he's got to keep a hold of his property. So
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Um, good recommendation there. All right, guys, if you got questions for us, please put that in the chat or the Q&A. Otherwise, we're going to keep going through ours. Um, Next question here that I have is how do you communicate with prospects that you are busy and when you're backed up, when you have a backlog? How do you communicate and handle that communication with prospects when you have a backlog without losing them completely to a different company?
yeah, that's a good question. It's something I think we all battle with, and we're battling with it a little extra right now because of the rain, man. We have been just getting the last like 3 weeks, we've averaged like 1 to 2 working days a week. I mean, it's unbelievable. We never see weather like that this time of year. Um, but regardless, just got to be honest with them, and tell them the one thing we do pretty well is managing backlog. We do start increasing price as our backlog grows.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's not trying to rip off a customer. It's just managing. The busier we get, the more we want to increase the price. If we're not busy, we want to start decreasing that price and maintain that threshold, um, you know, of backlog. But you let the customer know, hey, it's been pouring rain down. We've had a lot of people sign contracts with us lately. Or is it currently leaking? Yes. Perfect. I will get someone out within the next day or two to tarp that roof and at least mitigate the problems temporarily until we can get that roof replaced. Zach did 2 tarp jobs today because he's got jobs on the board that we just physically cannot get to within the next week. We just tarp them. We're going to tarp that for you, no charge. We'll take care of it. Uh, just understand we're you're on the schedule, and when we can get to you, we're going to get to you.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good strategies. We got a question here from Ryan. The question is, are you including late fees in your invoices, um, weekly/monthly?
I don't. From what I understand, at least in the state of Ohio, and again, I'm not an attorney and I try to stay out of the legal mess. We do not deal with this very often, but from what I understand, the late fee percentage that legally we're allowed to charge is so minimal that it's just not hardly worth fooling with. I just want paid. You know what I mean? I just want paid what I'm owed. I don't need to add on $30 or $80 for a late fee. I just want paid what I'm owed. That's it. Nothing else. So I've never taken the time to dig into it. I would say on one hand, I can count the times. I know I can. It's actually four. There's 4 times in 10 years that we've been in this position. And this would be four. Two of them, a simple letter from an attorney, got it paid immediately. Actually, one of them was a letter from an attorney. One of them was me threatening to come tear the roof back off the next day. They paid the same night. And then the one I'm in a lawsuit that I've been in for 3 years. Uh, she just owes me. Period. Like there's nothing. There's no lawsuit. She just owes me and she won't pay, and we go to court. Um, Actually, in like 2 weeks, right when I get home.
Oh, wow.
Um, finally got a jury trial for that. And then the fourth one is this one. So
Yeah.
I don't deal with it often enough to deal with the that issue. So no, I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, the other thing too is like psychologically, you're just creating, if you start tacking on late fees, you're just making it harder to get that collected because
That's what I think. I think you're exactly right.
they're just going to be pissed off and argue about the late fee before they pay it.
right. I just want paid when I'm owed.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that extra $100 late fee or whatever. I just want paid when I'm owed. And I don't want to fight with you anymore. You know you owe me. You know we did a fine job. If we didn't do a fine job, then tell me we'll come make it a fine job. But at the end, when I walk away, I just want paid. I just want paid for the services we offered. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. Got a question here from Frank. Do you recommend any websites, and I'll add to that any other sources that will help with drafting a proper contract in order to invoice the insurance company? I just got my roofing license. I'm looking to get ready for storm season.
I don't, but I would tell you, I would ChatGPT is pretty daggone good. I mean, you need to be very clear with the instructions you give it. Name your state and the work you're doing and exactly who the contract is going to be sent to and what you expect in the con. If you put that stuff in there, man, I'm not saying it replaces an attorney, but it's pretty daggone good. I mean, we've used it for a few things. I've used it for contracts, and then I take it and send it to my attorney to revise it. The last one we did, he made almost no revisions. Like he just changed it to shorten it up and just to because I wanted it to be one pager. And so he
Yeah.
just kind of shrunk it down a little bit to where all that content was still in there, but it was essentially the same thing.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the only caveat on this is like, so, I mean, so you at the end of the day, like if this is a really key document for you and you're getting pushback from insurance companies, it's going to be worth it just to have an attorney take a look at it and just make sure it's perfect. Um, you might be able to get, perfect or near perfect with ChatGPT, in which case might as well give it a shot.
Well, what you can always do is get a rough draft from ChatGPT, and then you can make sure everything you want is at least noted in
Addressed.
here to some degree,
Yeah.
and then give it to an attorney to make sure it's legally binding. That's what I would do. And then you cut out a bunch of work for the attorney to where they're, not making draft after draft, getting your approval. Do the drafts through ChatGPT, send it to get finalized with your attorney. That's the
Yeah.
best way to do it and make sure it's 100% legal.
Just make sure to remove all the dashes from your ChatGPT. And also don't tell your attorney that you used ChatGPT.
Yeah.
They will get very pissed. Most of them will get very pissed. Some of them are cool now. But yeah. All right. That was a good question. Thanks, Frank. All right. If anybody else has questions, please do put those in the chat or Q&A. Thanks for those questions, Ryan and Frank. We'll hit one of ours here in the meantime. What's the best way to collect customer feedback to improve my business?
Use ProLine. I mean, we use ProLine for exactly this, and it's literally my favorite automation inside of ProLine. The feedback comes once they pay the bill, because at that point you've got a complete, totally done project. Whether they're happy or not, the bill it's done. You have parted ways, and they have a warranty with you, but the job is complete. We get an automated message that sends out, basically saying, "Hey, how did we do? If you feel we did great, leave us a 5-star review. If not, please shoot us a text or an email immediately so we can figure out how to, mitigate the problems you're having." Something along those lines. That's not word for word. And it's absolutely polished our business because now we get a very quick response from disgruntled customers that maybe we did something wrong, maybe our cleanup wasn't great, maybe the communication was not as good as it should have been. Um, Whatever. Like that, we're not perfect. We make plenty of mistakes, so we want to know about them so we can try to always get better. But the upside is there's a Google review link embedded in that text and email. They just click the link. If they were tickled to death, they just could leave us 5-star reviews. There's not hardly a day that goes by we don't get at least one 5-star review. Literally not hardly a day goes by without that. So some days it's 4 or 5, right? Like, and Google's absolutely screwing me unbelievably. I mean, the amount of reviews that we're getting deleted right now is so crazy. I have been at like 170 for a year or like 9 months, and I literally get them every day on my phone. I get an alert that we're getting an so and so left a 5-star review. Yeah, it shows up, and then the old one gets deleted, and we're stuck at the 170 mark. But regardless, yeah, I think that's been the best way for us. If you're not using ProLine, you're gonna have to figure out a way to manually do that.
Yeah.
Which takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I don't know many roofing contractors that are disciplined enough to make sure they're doing that every day, right? So we depend on an automation to do it because we know we're not disciplined enough, but we still want to perfect that system.
Yep. That makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Next question here. And we'd love to answer y'all's questions if you have any more questions, but we're just going through our own. Um, what kind of content should I be posting on social media to attract good prospects?
For us, video content's always been the best. Taking drone videos and then putting a great caption, in that. Um, Even the progress videos always do the best. So like a short 3 seconds of the guys tearing off, a short 3 to 5 seconds of it felted, and then a final, 3 to 5 seconds, like a montage of those things, always do really well. So pictures do, I would say a post does is fair, just a text post, a picture does good, and then a video is the best.
Yep, that makes sense. How do you suggest, well, this may not be as relevant to you with your approach, but what strategies do you suggest to differentiate your roofing brand in a crowded market?
I mean, we're still in some crowded markets. Morgantown's pretty
Pretty
jam
crowded.
packed. Charleston's pretty jam packed. So,
Yeah.
um, we do a few things. So one is a simple one, but not as easy as it sounds. Is just getting certified with your manufacturer. That way you can offer those warranties that others can't offer. I know people like to talk trash about what shingle's the best, but we're a GAF Master League contractor. Um, we literally, because there's been a couple companies go out of business that were Master Elites in the past, we literally go service these warranties for GAF, and they pay us full rate to go take care of these warranty issues for other roofing contractors behind business. It's a great system. I've got a roof we installed 3 years ago that there's a warranty claim on, and I'm here to tell you it is a install error on our part, flat out 100% install error. They're going to pay me to go fix the install error that we did full rate. This is the first one, the only one we've ever had that was along these lines. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's a huge upsell for the customer. And if you've got those stories to back it up, like we have, it is not a hard sell. I mean, it is not hard to sell that upgraded warranty when you can say, hey, so and so down the street had so and so put their roof on. GAF paid us to come do that repair for them at no cost to the homeowner, and it took them like 2 days to do the go through the process. So I think that's huge. I think another one for us that's been big is not taking deposits. It's pretty controversial, it seems like, but in my markets, we're literally, as far as I know, the only contractor that does not require a deposit to do the job. And some of you will say, well, yeah, you just filed a lien today. Well, it's the first one in 2 years. So I'm not, and it's for 2,500 bucks. I'm not too concerned about it. People are very, very trusting when they haven't had to fork out half of their cash, half of a $20,000 bill, and you don't even have material sitting on the ground. So, people to sign them on the spot is much easier. We can get them to close at the appointment because they don't have to go find a check. They don't have to go move money around. They don't have to go get their financing in order. They know that they can get the 20 grand. It's just going to be a day or two till they kind of move things around. Yeah, go ahead and sign. We're not going to do the job for 3 weeks anyway. Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and sign up. They're not calling the next guy. They're not worrying about that. So um, I think it's huge. I think it's the way business should be done. It's just my opinion. But as contractors that get bad raps all the time for, taking advantage of customers, this alleviates 100% of that. So those are two things that I think, you know, we've had a lot of success with.
That makes sense. All right. Next question here. When estimating my jobs, should I charge for a roof replacement by the square?
No, no, you're going to lose money at some point, unless you're just charging a crazy amount, right? Like, I mean, you can get away from that, but you're never going to really understand your numbers. And I know all the gurus talk about knowing your numbers, knowing your numbers. Well, it's a lot harder than you think. But if you use a proper software, again, we use ProLine. Our quoting functionality in ProLine is so good. We know exactly what I just did. I'll tell you a story. I just did a call with somebody. I'm helping them build out their ProLine account. I always said, let's run a test quote because I built their quote templates for them, plugged all their data in exactly the way it's supposed to be. Said, let's run a test quote. So we took one that they had completed already. Job was done. They'd been paid for the whole deal. They said, well, you've got $15,000 in here for the price. We only charged like 11.5 for this job. I said, well, that's because the default profit margin is set at 35%. I said, let's go ahead and run the margin down till we can get to the price that you charge this customer. I think we got down to 19% gross profit margin. And
Mm,
they thought they were doing good,
yeah.
because they were charging by the square. They were doing things kind of not a great system. Great company, don't get me wrong. Maybe it was just a one-off deal, right? Like I don't know that. I don't know that much about them. I'm just saying, as far as they were concerned, it went well. Well, if I'm looking at that 19% gross profit, my freaking overhead's 15%. And if any of these people listening think your overhead isn't anywhere close to that, I can bet you're dead ass wrong because we run a pretty lean machine. A big part of that is advertising that we spend quite a bit of advertising dollars towards because we are trying to actively grow the business. But I guarantee you there's not many people that run less than 10% overhead. That would be very, very tight. Um, and at 10%, if you run a 19% gross, that means you netted 9%. Best case scenario. It's really not that good in for the market that we're in. So yeah, if you use a software that you actually charge per piece of material, per piece of labor, everything, by the piece, that's how you need to charge.
Yeah. It's like, uh, it doesn't, you're always going to be off with this per square unless you're lucky, right? A broken clock's right twice a day. Um, but you're always going to be off what the exact correct price would be. And so because of that, you're either overbidding the job, which means you're less likely to win the job because someone that's bidding correctly is going to beat you on price, or you're underbidding the job, in which case you're screwing you and your business out of profit that you need to survive and be stable. So no matter what way you look at it, and almost every roof that you bid that way, you're going to be putting your business at risk in one way or another, either because you're not going to be competitive or you're going to be underbidding. And so it's like, why would you not just get it right? Just bid it right.
Just and if you look at it in roofer terms, if you bid a straight gable, every roofer will know this. If you bid a straight gable roof, you have minimal amount of cap and minimal amount of starter. Those are your two most expensive shingle items in the or two of your most expensive shingle items in a roof. And if you bid the same squares of roof, but it's a hip, you've got potentially double the amount of starter, potentially three times the amount of cap. That roof costs more than that straight gable roof. But if you charge per square, the price doesn't change. It doesn't justify. So you have to charge per piece. It has to buy the bundle of cap, buy the bundle of shingles, buy the bundle of starter, buy the piece of drip edge. Like that stuff matters. It adds up very quickly.
And the thing is, with good software, you set it up one time and it's easier to bid. It's even easier to bid
Oh
than
my God,
with
dude.
per square. It just gets easier. It becomes seconds to bid out jobs. So
We
it's not like we're
literally,
talking about a lot of extra time or work here.
right. No, we literally bid jobs. It takes now that we know how to do it, right? Like the first quote template takes a minute. You might have a few hours in setting up a quote template. If you watch a couple videos, you might have a few hours in doing the first one. I can build a quote template because we build a new one every once in a while. We're pretty much out of building quote templates because we've got everything we would need now. But I could build a quote template in 30 minutes. That's what it takes most people to write a quote, by the way. I can build a template in 30 minutes. And now any quote that I write using that template, 60 seconds or less. I've got a perfect quote in 60 seconds or less.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It just makes sense. All right. Let me pull up. I think we got time for one more question. We don't have any questions from the audience. We got one more. Let's tackle this. I was just talking about this the other day. What are the best approaches to encourage repeat business in the roofing, like from roofing customers?
Do a great job. I mean, we have found a little niche in one of our markets. We're trying to duplicate this in a couple other markets. Just so happens we are in a couple college towns. Athens, Ohio is Ohio University, big party town, but ton of college, housing. And then Morgantown, which is where WVU is at. So we're in two pretty sizable college towns, which means there's tons of rental property, tons of property management type places. And I feel like everybody's kind of scared of that market because they think it's cheap. But the market's shifted a lot. A lot of people that um, own investment property today are much different than 20 years ago. People today, they want someone they can call on. It's done. They don't have to worry about it. They got a warranty, they got a guarantee, they trust you, they know it's going to be right. And it's easy, right? They want easy. So, um, if you do a good job and you follow up with these people and you stay in touch with them, where Athens is at OU, we've got six property management companies, I think it is now. they don't even call anybody. They don't even get quotes anywhere else because we just did them a good job. But the big thing is don't take advantage of the relationship. We're still charging them. I think we charge 33% gross profit. So whatever they're just a little below, we typically charge 35, we give them 32 or 33%. So just a little below average for us. So we're fair to them. We treat them right. They love us. They know our price is always on point. They literally know they can call other people. Our price is going to be exactly in line with what it was the first time. So, but just doing a good job following up with them. I think also just working relationships is huge. That networking piece of working those relationships, staying in touch with them, long-term type follow-up where you're just touching base with them once a month, which we have a campaign in ProLine for long-term follow-up where it just sends out a text and, once a month. I think it's once a month or once every 45 days. Hey, just checking in to see if you had anything, need any help with anything. And then the other one we do is with MailChimp. We do a weekly email list that we
Sorry.
send out just a mailer on, and those kinds of customers love it because every once in a while we'll run a special, free gutter guards, 5% off your roof quote. Whatever, we'll run a special, and those kind of customers, they love that stuff because they know they're using us anyways. If they can take advantage of a little discount we're running, they're just going to take advantage of it, and they'll book 5 jobs instead of one that month. So, yeah, those are the things we do.
Yep. That makes sense. All right. We'll wrap this up here. So thanks everybody for joining. Thanks for the questions, guys. And yeah, we'll see everybody next week. We got one last second question here from Brian. All right, we'll do this last second. We'll do this last question. We got 1 minute left. How did you guys get your first leads, and how do you guys build your pipeline?
Oh man, this is a good one. So we depended on friends and family first, and I think that's a huge part to any business. AJ, I'm sure you can attest, even in the software space, friends and families, your first go-to. They're
Oh,
the easiest to sell. They're the easiest to kind of wet your beak and dip your toes in and kind of learn the process, right? So that was always our first. So even in a new market, I hire guys that are local to the market so they can take advantage of that friends and family, you know, uh, group. You get them in the pipeline, you start working those leads, following up with them, checking in on them, but you're also depending on them to help spread the word. So, if you can do a job for one of three of your friends and family that inquire with you that you get an opportunity with, now you're, you know, hey cousin, can you share my stuff on Facebook here for a while? I'm trying to get my name out there. Or can you leave me a great Google review that I can post on my social media channels to, kind of prove our worth here a little bit. So you take advantage of those opportunities and build from there. Um, from there, obviously, you start getting into the advertising avenue. Referrals will only get you so far. You do have to market yourself to some extent at some point if you're going to grow. Um, but man, even if you get to do a job for, again, your cousin or your in-laws or something like that, take advantage of it. Be at the job site, knock at the doors around the neighbors' houses and around the neighborhood, get your sign in the yard, your truck in the driveway, do all those things. One job can easily lead into one or two more, if approached correctly.
yep, that's right. All right, so we will actually wrap it up here. So thanks everybody, and we'll see everybody next week. Thanks,
Uh,
Scott. Oh,
I won't be here next week. I'm out of the
not next
country.
week. Next week, the week
Following week.
after. The week after, I think. Mm, oh shoot. Wait, our schedule's gonna. I will not be here either. So yeah, next week. No, not next week, but the week after that. I will be here. I think you'll be here. So we'll
Yep.
skip a week. We'll skip a week. All right. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. See you
All
guys.
right. Bye.